Hey everybody, Kaysha here, and today I am here with my friend
Jennifer Guskin,
and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance-exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the Karis Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jay Treaty. My father and I were exposed in the improper contagion mitigation for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city, house, or state without permission, or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the Karis Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on, we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There will be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the Karis Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate, and we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you everybody for your time and considerations, and thank you for all the support, and we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karis Project podcast. Today we have with us, Deborah Perrier. Perrier. I'm still
Perrier, yeah, just like the water.
All right, and she is running for the Prescott-Russell-Cumberland riding in Ottawa, and was a former nurse and now a federal employee, and is now looking to run for the People's Party of Canada. And so, welcome today. And you want to just kind of introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Deborah Perrier, as he said, running for the Prescott-Russell-Cumberland riding in Ontario, and I am presently a federal employee on leave, so that to enable me to run, and it's been an exciting journey so far. That's for sure. It's been a whole experience, and exciting, hopeful, and I'm very, very encouraged.
All right. Oh, there we go. Yes. So it's good to have you on. And so you're in our nation's capital in Ottawa. And so most people think of Ottawa as like more of a liberal stronghold, as most of Ontario, a lot of the cities in Ontario I mean, Toronto and Ottawa, and then you have Montreal. But what made you decide to go for the People's Party of Canada?
Well, how long do we have? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I actually started Liberal, and then 2020 hit, and I swung over to the Conservative side. And then the convoy hit, and my eyes were really open. I started to see things that I didn't want to see. I started to not hear things that I did want to hear. And as a result of that, I went from Liberal to Conservative to hopeless, because my political leader was not leading. He was not speaking up for the people. And I was pretty much like everybody else, very discouraged, feeling hopeless. And I went actually down to the convoy several times. And it was down there that I met this guy called Maxime Bernier. I noticed this crowd of people on the street gathering around him, and him talking, and myself thinking, well, who is this person that he's drawing everybody's attention? And so I stood back and listened a little bit, and I liked what he had to say. So I went home that day, and I looked up Maxime Bernier from the People's Party of Canada, and I fell in love. Not with him. I fell in love with the party and what they stood for. And I literally started going through every single policy, and I saw how connected his policies were to my values. And that was it. I started following the People's Party of Canada. I started reading about them. And then in probably October of 2022, I felt literally, and I'm not sure what the audience is like here, but I am who I am, and I literally felt a calling to step forward into the race, because all I was doing was hearing some of everything all over again, the same stuff, same information coming out, stuff that we already knew, complaining that we were hearing on a regular basis, but nothing was being done. And I'm not one of those people that just sits and complains. It's like, okay, there's the problem. Let's find a solution, and let's go forward and fix this problem. And so I felt this call into politics. I've never in my entire life had any interest in politics. I mean, I always did, as a civilian, I did my civic duty. 2 weeks before an election, I would go online, I would read the platforms, I would watch the debates. Not that the debates helped me to decide in any way, but I still wanted to know everybody's character, and that's a good place to see it. And then I would make my decision. I'd go and vote, and then I'd go back to my everyday life thinking my government was going to take care of me. It was going to provide for me, it was going to protect me, and it was going to take care of everything. I just had to live my life peacefully, follow the law, and be a good girl, and that would be that. That wasn't the case. And so I felt that call. And literally the next morning I wake up, and in my email is an invitation to attend a training conference for people interested in being candidates, and the People's Party of Canada was putting it on. And I felt that compelling force just push me there. And the second I set foot in there, I knew that that's what I was going to do. And that was in August, of just this past August.
Okay.
So it's been a whirlwind.
Well, I mean, I think that everybody in Canada, well, most people in Canada can sit down and say that their parties did not work for them. And what we're seeing here is a deviation from the norm, a severe deviation. Because regardless of what, and we're seeing people that are coming from all across the board, because there's always this thing saying they're vote splitting and so forth from the Conservatives. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people that are leaving, they're coming from other parties more so than the Conservative Party of Canada. And so there's a net benefit for people voting for the People's Party of Canada because they're appealing to a wide range of people, and they're drawing more so from the traditionally the left as they would from the Conservatives. And there's seems to be more common sense things that would resonate for anybody based on the situation that we're facing right now. And so you want to kind of talk about what you would sort of bring in your riding to your people there from those policies, and how it would affect Ottawa specifically?
Well, the four main ones that I hold very dearly to is first and foremost the immigration. The issue with immigration is seeping into and affecting just about every area of our life, from the cost of living to the cost of housing, to the fact that there isn't any housing, to the fact that we have vets who have fought for this country living on the streets. We have single mothers who who are making a choice as to whether or not they're going to pay the heating bill or they're going to feed their children. It is, the cost of living has become exorbitant, and I struggle, and I have a good job. So I am single, so I cannot imagine what a family must be going through. So
I just want to kind of interject, like with the immigration policies, and like I tell people, like last year they had this statistic by July, which is the 7th month, they had over 1 million immigrants coming into Canada. That's 2.5% of our population in 7 months. That's insane. Like they brought them over here, and a lot of them are homeless because there's nowhere to put them. It's not fair to them, nor is it fair to us to do this. Right?
That's right.
It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. And when you consider the fact that 98% of our growth was through immigration, and the people that they're bringing in are not people that are contributing. They're not people that are able to contribute. They are just putting more pressure on the system and drawing more from the system. And as a result of that, nobody is being serviced properly. No one is getting the help that they need, from healthcare to groceries. And it's been a horrific mess. And I have been listening to, I still follow, like everybody else, Pierre Poilievre and Mr. Carney. And their intention is to continue with the immigration, the mass immigration, and continue to bring people in. Oh, they might cut it down a few thousand people, but their intention is to continue to bring people into our country that can end up by being a larger voter base for them. That's pretty much what it is. And the thing is that we're broken. We're not only are we broke, but we are broken. And we need to actually stop the immigration completely. And that's one of the things that I love about Max, is the fact that the moratorium, although it's only temporary, it is a pause. It is stop with the open door policy. We need to close that door tight, fix Canada, fix the problems that we have here, like housing, like healthcare. We need to fix the things that are broken in Canada. We need to take care of our people first. And then his intention is to revamp the entry system, the entry point system, to better direct who can actually come into our country. So people that are going to contribute to Canada, to the well-being of Canada, people that are going to contribute to our health and our sciences. So it is a better balance, and so that people all the way around can be taken care of.
Well, I think that, like, I use this analogy. If your sink is overflowing and it's plugged, you need to turn off the tap and then deal with unclogging it. Otherwise, you're going to create a bigger problem. And with what they've done with immigration, you can't keep pouring people in. Like I tell people, I said the first thing is to close the door. The next thing is, once you close the door, determine who should be here and who shouldn't be here. Because if you came here illegally, then you need to leave, right? That's just no ifs, ands, or buts. So if you had an issue, then you come in here and go through proper channels, and they need to change the system so that people who are actually coming here, you want to set them up for success. So if you have, for example, a skill that you need, let them bring their family so that they don't have to send the money over there, because if their families are here, they're going to be looking after their family. They're going to keep that here, and then they can get them skills to be useful in the society, not just bring people over here. Now they have to go and, like, they can't get a job in their field, or if they do, they have to get their families for 10 years before they bring them here, which is nonsense. Bring the family here because people are going to spend money where their families are. It's not rocket science, right? Like,
you have to,
and
exactly, and making sure that those skills can pay Canada. Those skills are going to provide a necessity within the country that they're living in. And that's one of the good things about the point system. And I really liked Max's idea about the fact that they're going to increase funds to CSIS and increase funds to the RCMP so that they can do the proper vetting, because that's another issue, is that people are coming in here and they're not being vetted at all. So we have allowed criminals to come into our country.
Yes, that's because there's so much politicization of our law enforcement that they're not allowed. Like, look at the last 5 years of what Trudeau has done with the RCMP, and then they had to go to Parliament for CSIS to get power to investigate the politicians that are under foreign control. Like, are you kidding me? Right? Like,
there's so much reform that needs to take place. It's just, we could sit here all day literally and just go over all the reforms that need to happen, and all of the safety checks that need to be put in place. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
My sister used to work for the RCMP, right? And she was just flabbergasted at what she was seeing now, because I mean, there are many good men and women that were in the RCMP that are probably right now ashamed of what is going on and want those people out just as much as everybody else, because they signed up to serve and protect the people but now they're told that they can't do it because of political reasons, and they have to sit there
Yeah.
and watch criminals come in and just destroy this country. No.
And let them go while they're holding people like Chris Barber and
The boys at Coots.
all of them, like, and they're still Trisha. Oh my gosh, her name is just completely
Tamara
gone out of
Leach?
my head. Tamara Leach, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, what they've put them through on mischief charges, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And it's one of, and I know that, Mr. Trump is a hot issue for some people, but quite frankly, I think the man is exactly what America needed, and it's exactly what Canada needs. We need that strong person, and that strong person is Maxime Bernier, because I have no doubt that he's going to open the door for self-deportation. It's like, you know what? You're not supposed to be here. You've got a choice to present yourself and go peaceably, or we're going to take you out. And then you're going to stand to lose a lot more. So
I agree, and people need to start looking at the policy. Maxime Bernier has been saying the same thing for years. And
since the beginning.
These are things that need to be done. It's not like he's sitting down and saying something that's way off base, because
that's right.
I know that, as most Canadians, I don't care what political party you are, you want to be able to go and earn a living. You want to be able to have your family protected. You want to be able to feed your family. You want to make sure that you don't live in crime. I don't know anybody that says, yes, please allow someone to rob my house. I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Nobody wants this. Like, I want to be able to pick up the phone, that if I call the police, they're going to help me, not arrest me because they didn't like my social media post or think that I might do something, which are some of these insane bills that are being brought through Parliament that just make no sense. Right?
No. And yet you have Mr. Polyev saying we have to bring a common sense government back. And it's like, okay, where's the common sense in anything that he has said? He still wants to have, he wants to bring in more immigrants. He has no backbone. From what I've seen, there's no backbone. He's not willing to stand up and say anything other than what the person directly in front of him requires him to say. And he knows what they want, so he gives them what they want. And that's not Max. Max speaks the truth from Sunday to Sunday, from sun up to sundown, and he doesn't change. He sometimes updates. For example, his original intention was to bring immigration down to about 150,000 a year. But then, as he started to see the damage that was being done to our country and to our services and to our healthcare and to the vets that are on the street and across the board, it said, no, we now have to stop and we have to fix. And then when we reopen the doors, it will be very limited and very secured entry into the country. He is.
Yes, I agree. And I think that we have to relook at it, because we need to bring back manufacturing. I grew up in Winnipeg, born and raised.
Yeah.
And it was a big manufacturing place, right? I mean, they manufactured a lot of planes still and buses and things like this, but there was a lot more manufacturing. I watched those jobs get taken away in the 80s, right? And they went to Mexico and all these places offshore, and they brought back these service jobs and call centers. And they're like, well, we created all these jobs, but I'm like, those jobs don't even pay a third of what the jobs that left were.
That's right.
And these ones were great, had benefits and everything else like that, added to the economy. Yeah. But now there's going to be a massive undertaking we need to bring those jobs back, because we're outsourcing into all these other countries has driven up the cost of everything. Sure, it might be lower for certain people, but the fuel costs and all that stuff get passed on to us. I don't want that. Right? Like, and the quality has gone downhill. Right?
Completely. Yeah.
So
Well, the globalists have had their way. They've had their puppets in office now for quite some time. And Max is going to get in and he's going to clean house. He's going to bring industry back. He's going to open up. Why are we transporting oil? There's so many there's so many things that just are off the charts, ridiculous. And Max is planning to reopen industry. Max is planning to bring people back home, because that's where we need to be. We need to take care of one another. He wants proper trade, and both between us and the United States as well. This whole tariff stuff, if Max had been in office, never would have happened. And
the whole tariff issue, if we cleaned up the stuff in our own backyard, we wouldn't be having these tariffs. Like that fentanyl, like the fentanyl coming, like BC, like what they're doing there is just mind-boggling, because all of those drugs that are pretty much legal there are flooding across the country. They're flooding across the border. I knew when I lived in Vancouver on the West Coast, it was common knowledge that drugs were flowing to the south like crazy, and now they've got fentanyl here, and it's out of control. And this was in the 90s.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah, they're bringing the components in from China. They're bringing it to Vancouver. They're creating all this other stuff, and they're shipping it across the country and killing people. But thanks to Mr. Trudeau, they have shops to sell it in just about every city in Canada. Yeah, I know. There are no words. I don't understand. I think that I just don't understand how the people who are standing up for Canadians could sit in the House of Commons and vote for these drug houses, for these safe centers.
No, like for me,
no is right.
I mean, I did drugs as a kid, and I saw a bunch of my friends that are no longer alive because of drugs. I don't have any love for that. I can't stand it right now. I would rather be dead than to ever go back to doing that, because it is slavery. And when you're pushing this on people like they don't understand what they're doing. Like, so when people tell me that they should do this, I'm like, no. I'm like, go into a group of Alcoholics Anonymous or something and say that to people and see how far you get. You'll be lucky if you walk out there, because they would be like,
it's a bondage.
Crazy.
It's a bondage that they have no idea. Excuse me. They have no idea the depth of destruction. Well, look at the suicide rate.
Yes.
The suicide rate, the death rate in the drug community. It's almost as though, and this is my own opinion, my own thought process. Perhaps that's why, they opened up all these houses, because they wanted to do away with that part of the population that just continues to draw from their resources, there being the globalists and those higher ups.
We have to take a short commercial break. I need to hear from Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, and we'll continue this on the other side.
Okay. You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our spring percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Yeah, so if you need any of the MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 800-845-2942. Use promo code Karis. He's got bed sheets, he's got pillows, he's got bath stuff, kitchen stuff, beds, all that good stuff. So go check it out if you need any of that. So back to like the drug issue. When you look at this, and like I grew up in Winnipeg, so I saw a lot of this. I mean, the drug trade and the human trafficking trade, sex trade, they're hand in hand.
Oh,
And then
yes.
they can take away the kids from these people and all of these things. Like, this is one of the most destructive things that you can do to a population. And like the fentanyl is just next level. Like, that was never around when you
Yes.
were a kid or none of that stuff. So this when you see what's happening to the people, why would you want this in your country? It is going to destroy people badly. This is terrible. 100%.
Unfortunately, what I'm seeing is a lot of people, they don't want to see it. You know that little child, that little toddler that sits on the floor in the middle of the living room and says, "Can you find me, mommy? Can you find me?" And they play peekaboo and you're not there and then you are. There are people today that are hiding because they don't want to see. They don't want to know. They just want to live in their sweet little bubble. They want to just live their life, and they want to live peaceably, and they want to follow the law, and they think that that's enough. And if they think if they don't think about it, if they don't see it, if it's not on their doorstep, then it's not happening. They don't have to think about it until it slaps them in the face. And then it's too late by then. People need to realize that it is real, it's there, and it needs to be dealt with, because it's not going to get better if it's not dealt with. It's just going to, that border is just going to keep growing and growing, and they're going to keep spreading out and keep spreading out. And the cartels are extremely active. They're extremely large, and they are far-reaching. And this goes back a long time,
Yes, it does. And I was listening to Sam Cooper, and then what's his name? Robert Project, I think I can't remember what his first name is, but he was out of Ottawa, and he reported about what Sam Cooper was talking about the cartel
Oh,
money
yes.
that was being gone to Trudeau.
Honored.
And
Yes.
when you start looking at all of this, and you look at the foreign interference that they're talking to and all of these things, I'm
They're all
like,
tied in.
I cannot trust my government that's currently there, because if you are working for a foreign interest, that means you're not working for Canada.
That's right.
That's not a government. Like, and I'm sorry.
Nope. It's a business. This has turned into a business specifically for the globalists. It has turned into a business entity that has nothing to do with keeping Canadians safe or providing for our own. This has everything to do with lining their own bank accounts, their own pockets, and providing their own safety nets. And they're playing the game of risk with our lives, and it's destroying this country. And the level to which the conflicts of interest, the corruption, it's so deep that that's one of the reasons why parliamentary reform is going to be one of my projects. I'm going to have a few projects. I'm going to be busy. I'm supposed to be heading towards retirement, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'll retire when I'm, meet the Lord. But it is extreme.
I mean, I ran for politics in Saskatchewan last year for the Buffalo
Oh,
Party.
did you?
Yeah, yes. And if you had asked any of my friends when I was younger, would Dale ever run for politics, they would have told you when hell froze over. Because I followed politics, but I had no interest because I was like, I watched people, they lied all the time. And it just got worse. But then I was like, okay, you know what? I let this happen because I didn't do anything. And so I
That's
said
right.
something needed to be done. But a lot of the stuff that Max is dealing with, we dealt with in Saskatchewan because we had pretty much a lot of the similar stances. We wanted to work for the people, like common sense, do this stuff that needs to be done. And the media suppressed. They did this thing. I was excluded from like the candidate forums and all of these things because they didn't want me to talk because what would have they said? I would have said, well, look, this is what's going on. This needs to be done. Let's work for the people because I don't care whether somebody likes me or not or voted for me or not. If you're in that, you want to listen to the people that are there and you want to do what's best for them, regardless.
That's right.
When you govern for everybody, not just your party, right?
That's right.
And
that's right.
This is why I like what I hear because I'm like, people need jobs. People need food on their plates.
Right.
People need a government that's not controlled by someone else, right? Like
that's right.
And these are common sense things. So why?
And have you ever watched Question Period? I find it embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. I feel like I'm watching a bunch of primary aged school kids on the schoolyard during recess. It's like, no, this is not what I pay. This is not what my taxpayer funds are supposed to go towards.
Yes.
Deal with the issues. Ask a question, answer. Ask a question, answer. None of this ridiculous. Let me tell you, if I get a seat in the House, they're gonna know who I am. They are gonna know. I will be a thorn in their side. That's for sure.
Well, that's what we need because I mean, me and my daughter, we've actually laughed at like some of the stuff that they've said. We've actually talked about it on our podcast and say, you know what? The Canadian government's on fire, but at least they're funny. Because if it was like a television show, it would be funny, but too bad this is real life and they're burning a country down in real time. Right?
Yes.
That's it, because the thing, especially like I mean, Jagmeet Singh, like I mean, why are you even there? Why are you propping them up? This is when I'm watching all of these things happening.
Because Jagmeet Singh is after Jagmeet Singh. He's out for Jagmeet Singh. And Jagmeet Singh is gone. He's just if he gets back in. Where do you live? I don't know. I tell you, I couldn't, because as much as I would want to leave, but I couldn't. I can't. I am going to stay and fight. And this is going to be the hill that I die on because I love my country and I love Canada. And I've always been very proud to be Canadian. And I love my American brothers and sisters. And it's like, you know what? Peace and brotherhood, that's not just specific to a country. That's specific to a people. We all need to be loved and cared for and accepted. We all need that the knowledge of being protected. We all need the knowledge that our needs are being cared for and that we've got each other's backs. And what this country, what this parliament, what this government has done has so badly damaged who we are. Our identity has been so badly damaged that it's going to take a house cleaning, a real house cleaning. And Max is the one. I know it sounds, rote, and I don't want it to sound that way, but Max is Canada's Trump, and he will clean house. He will clean house. And these people that think that the Liberals are just doing what's good for Canada, they need to give their head a shake. Maybe knock it a few times on the wall and knock some sense in there, because how they haven't noticed the fact that the damage that's been done, just as far as DEI is concerned, our military, we don't have tanks, we don't have weapons, we don't have enough warriors, but we have tampon machines in every men's bathroom on every base. Like, how does that have any sense? We used to be a military that was, a pride-filled, strong military that was admired throughout the world. Now we're a joke. Literally a joke.
When I was a kid, there was no DEI, there was none of that stuff growing up when I was going to school. Like, sure,
that's fairly new.
Yes, like, yeah, sure, they put the ramp in for the guy with the wheelchair because that was common sense because he didn't have legs, right? Like, but he still could learn. And so, I mean, when you had challenges, life wasn't fair. Did I have to deal with a lot of challenges? Sure. But what did I have to do? Just work harder. You know what it ended up doing?
Yeah.
I learned it helped me later in life, because if I didn't go through those challenges previously, I would have been like a lot of these guys, balled up and curled up in the corner trying to stick their head in the sand rather than to face the problems. Like, life sucks.
That's right.
It's not fair, but
it builds character.
He tells you, if you trust me, I will help you get through it. I won't make you avoid the challenges, but I'll help you through it. And you become stronger as a result of it. And DEI hurts everybody. And they end up suppressing the best and the brightest to justify using it. And that is wrong. That is wrong.
Yeah. And that's all part and parcel for what the agenda is. You break down society to the point where people have no more confidence in themselves or in their government, then they're easy to control. And it's all part and parcel. This DEI is deadly. DEI is deadly. This gender ideology is deadly. And it's just to weed out the weak. It's to weed out the problems.
Yes.
And
it punishes the strong, like the minorities. It hurts them the most because they have to suppress the best and the brightest in the minority groups to justify saying, oh, well, we need to help them. It's like, no, you don't. You need to, if you want to help, let them, help them to re-educate themselves and do better and invest in their communities. Because if somebody goes and he's successful, he's going to bring those skills back to his community and help them to become successful.
That's right.
And if everybody's becoming successful, then everybody benefits because we become more prosperous, because then we don't have to spend money to keep paying for people to be poor and underprivileged, which is what we're doing. And we're hindering people from being able to get into the workforce and become useful members of society. Why would you do this? This makes no sense whatsoever. None. Needs to be fixed.
It needs to be fixed. But if you know what Agenda 2030 is, you understand.
Yes. And I mean,
because that's exactly what they want. That's exactly where they're heading. I don't, know that this is that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show. But Agenda 2030 is you will own nothing and you're going to be happy about it because that's what we say. And by breaking down the culture and breaking down society to the point where we can't pay our way, we just sit back and get tired and say, okay, you pay it. Go ahead. I'm tired to fight. I'm too tired to fight. And that's what they're aiming for.
That's criminal. Like,
Yeah, it's criminal. But the
I don't-
government is criminal.
Yes. Well, I mean, they're bought and paid for. I mean, and that's
They are. And that's a good way to say it. They are bought and paid for. And the amount of times that has been proven so far, it has been proven the conflicts of interest, the corruption that has been constantly playing out in the courts, in front of our eyes. And it's like we have no power to change anything. I mean, when the prime minister can just up and call the emergency act with just because, well, he just didn't like what was going on down there, so let's get control and use lawfare instead. And it's like when he can get away with doing things like that, there's a serious, deep, and dangerous problem that needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with swiftly.
yes.
Is it going to happen overnight? No, it's not going to happen overnight. And is it going to take just those people in the House of Commons? No. It's going to take all of us.
Yes.
It's going to take all of us standing up together and saying, that's enough.
Yes.
Enough is enough. And I don't know about you, but I have had enough. When I am willing to walk away from my cushy job, when I am willing to walk away from my cushy retirement, which I have earned, when I am willing to throw all that away and stand with my 2 feet and my fists up, I am going to fight, and I am not going to back down. And they've not seen the thorn until they've met me.
I think the same way. Like, I mean, I lost everything. I mean, and I said, you know what? It would be better to be dead than to live in a country the way this is going, because we are
Yeah.
going to be slaves. And
Yes.
I never got born into slavery. No. And even still, even if I did, I wouldn't want it. Nobody wants it. That is one of the
Nope.
worst things that you could do to everybody, because look at the inflation rates. They're printing money and just spending it and sending it everywhere else. Like you talked about the military. They're sending all this money to Ukraine, right? Okay, that
Yeah.
war is bad. But how
It's
are you sending
59 billion?
all this money to Ukraine when our troops are eating spoiled rations? They don't have proper equipment. They don't have all of these things that are necessary to even defend us if we were invaded. Why are you
That's
sending
right.
your money there, right?
Yeah.
This is
19.5 billion. That could have supplied our military with enough personnel and enough healthy food to keep them strong and fightable, so to speak.
And then
Yeah.
Zelensky said, like, half of the money that was supposed to come to him didn't even come to him. So where did that go then? Right?
Oh, I know.
Well,
There's a few issues of those. Like, for example, there's $3.5 billion in SEBA loans, in the small business loans, was sent out during COVID to help save businesses. Half of them don't even exist. Half of the businesses that received those funds don't even exist. Where did that money go? Why are they not investigating it? Why haven't they dug deeper? Because they don't want to, because they know there are too many people with fingers in the pot that would get those fingers clipped. And so they shut things down. They do things like prorogue Parliament so that people won't dive and people won't investigate and people won't ask questions. And that's the way they have been working for the last 9 years.
yeah.
And I want to ask people, and I do actually, when I'm in conversation with people, one of the first questions I ask is, do you know what the definition of insanity is? It's doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome. And it's like conservative, liberal, conservative, liberal. That's been the way it has been since we began our political process here in Canada.
Yes.
It's like, it's the same over and over again. Have you not caught on to the fact yet that it's not working? It's not working. So it's time to change. It's time for reform. And one of the words that I use on my campaign is it's time for radical change, not just change. It's time for radical change. In my career, in my nursing career, when someone is faced with stage 4 breast cancer, they do what is called a radical mastectomy. So they remove, and they really remove everything. And they dig down deep and they remove everything. They do radical surgery, and that is what is needed in this political system that we have in Canada. There needs to be radical change. There needs to be radical reformation. There needs to be radical reform in the parliament, in the laws. That laws need to be repealed. C4, C16, just among two. Like I can name, with a few seconds, I could come up with at least 10 that need to be repealed, and our freedom, the freedom of speech, the fact that they are attacking parents for protecting their own children. It just is, so much reform needs to happen. And I love Max. I love what the party stands for, and I'm honored to have been found suitable to stand and fight, because I am.
They need, what we need is yes, we need serious change, and we need to change this and put the brakes on this. This is the most pivotal election in Canadian history.
Ever. If it doesn't happen this time, it's going to be in my opinion, it'll be too far gone to fix.
Yes, we have to make the changes here, because with what they're bringing down the pipeline, it is not good, and we cannot have the same status quo go back in. It cannot happen.
No. There needs to be some heads rolling. There needs to be accountability. That's another thing. There needs to be accountability to the point where nobody is above the law. Yes. I don't care what position you hold. Yes. I don't care what seat you sit in. Nobody is above the law, and people need to be held to account.
And that includes judges, because judges should not use their position to shield criminals, because if you do, you should get arrested and not go back to the judicial council, because first of all, that ain't even constitutional, because the provinces have control of the administration of justice, and they need to be the ones to deal with that. They should have structure that, even though they're federally appointed, they answer to the places that they serve. And this is what needs to be done, and that they need to have accountability, because you're watching the government toe the line and let criminals free and all that. No, you can't do that. You have to have accountability, and if you can't make the decision, then step aside and let someone who's competent to make those decisions. And I think there's a lot of being bought and paid for. But anyway, we're running up on time. So quickly, do you want to tell people how they can help you, how they can reach you?
Well, as you know, we are in the full throes of the election, and we need hands and feet, and we need finances. We were thrown into this far earlier than what any of us expected. And the time that we have to fight for Canada and the Canadian people is very short. We only have something like 27 days left. And funds are short, and we need to get our signs out there. We need to get the flyers out. We need to get people willing to go door to door and do canvassing. So if your heart is called to saving Canada, if you are willing to stand up and fight for the country that you love, please reach out. You can go to my website, which is deborahperrierppc.com. That's DeborahPerrierppc.com. Or you can reach out to me on my email, which is deborah.perrier@teamppc.ca. Reach out and join the winning team. We are going to stand for Canada, and we are going to fight with all that we have. And we're a great group of people.
All right. Thank you for coming, and check that all out. We'll close here quickly with a prayer, and we'll see everybody else again next time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. And watch over Deborah and all the other people like her that are going to try to make a change for this country, and help the men and the women to come together to rebuild their families, their churches, their community, and our nation, that we can make a difference, to have a country and common sense for the children, and to protect them who are in desperate need of protection is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hallelujah. Amen.